wish there was a real-world example we could point to this week that exemplified exactly what we're talking about here, where Phil is clearly trying to get the U.S. federal government to break the First Amendment in order to censor me right here on my own show. Why Joe Rogan's podcast spurred musicians to pull their music? Well, why did it, Philly G? Let's find out, man. Turns out people were not happy in the beginning. They thought that in this whole debate, Spotify was acting a little bit more like a spectator rather than a player. I don't totally know that it was their responsibility to give a shit, but whatever. About 19% of Spotify users say they've canceled or plan to cancel over Joe Rogan. But will that happen? No, it'll be half of them at best. That's how it always is with people that say they're going to walk away. But the thing is, what are we really talking about here? How much content is Spotify really losing? Oh, hold on a second. Here we go.
Hey, cool.
Ka-chunk. And it goes out there into the fucking ocean. But what are we talking about? How many artists really pulled their shit from Spotify? All right, let's look at a list here. Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, India. It's at least something a little more modern, but it's not really anything huge. Not anything compared to the $100 million that Spotify gave Joe Rogan, like, what, a fucking year ago?
Right, and he has way more subscribers or whatever.
Oh, most definitely.
Millions and millions and millions more. Right.
So what exactly did he fucking say? That's the real question here, right? What was he really talking about? And let me preface this by telling you, guys, to be honest, I don't give a shit where you fall on this issue as far as which information is correct regarding COVID, where you stand on that issue, whether or not you want to get vaccines or don't. Or I honestly don't give a shit about
Don't care.
that.
Don't care.
In addition to that, whether or not you like Joe Rogan, don't care. It doesn't matter, man. If you're a fucking devout follower of everything, I don't care. None of that matters to me. What matters to me in this scenario is the potential for censorship and where that gets into government overreach.
Yes, that is the important.
That's right. This motherfucker's about to make my eagle scree in here, man. So what exactly did he say? Number one, right off the bat, he called ivermectin the end of COVID. Now, the end of COVID is maybe a little strong. Have been things that have shown there's some effectiveness there. Again, I haven't taken it, nor do I give a shit whether or not other people take it. What I will say is very much like the case of amoxicillin, where fish use it too. It's not necessarily horse dewormer. There is a human version of it that's been approved by the FDA.
I also would say that calling it the end of COVID is merely superlative and wouldn't hold up in court. You know what I mean?
And that's part of the big
It's like if you say I'm going to
here.
kill you, it doesn't mean I'm going to kill you.
That's the question here, man. What's the difference between opinion and misinformation now? Some asshole that takes shrooms, smokes weed, and drinks bourbon on his show and routinely says he doesn't know what he's talking about. We're going to hold him to this standard? We're going to hold him to this standard?
I thought you were talking about us for a minute.
Well, why should you hold us to any standard?
No, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. No.
I'm a fictional character, dude. Nothing I say is admissible.
All right,
let's keep going. Oh, there's your lawyer. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading
that.
He also put over, and again, most of these things are not even necessarily about what Joe Rogan said. It's about what people who were on his show said. Now, this guy came on and started talking about mass formation hypnosis. And by the way, can I just say, mass formation hypnosis ranks right up there to me with replacing the word equality with equity. You find and describe new language which more closely represents the narrative you want to push. And as soon as you do, every idiot who thinks they know what they're talking about shoves it into their own conversation. How many people have you heard use this brand new term recently because they can't wait to get on the fucking bandwagon?
I thought it was a good band.
Whether he's right or wrong, to me, is irrelevant. It's just that people couldn't wait to jump on, ooh, this guy said a new thing. I can be cool if I say it too.
Oh, it's
you
like
still sound like a tool.
It's like any jackass who, whenever you're talking to him, starts throwing out words like straw man argument and red herring and all this shit. They're just trying to sound smart. Fact of the matter is, though, I don't know if he necessarily said it was like, that was a deal. I'm pretty sure it was like a theory sort of a situation.
Well, sure. Well, and, do we need to talk about what these guys' credentials are? The first one was Brett Weinstein that said that. Second one was a guy with an MD that said that. Peter McCullough also came out there and got some kind of problem for what he said, saying that you couldn't get reinfected. I think he was that guy. There is definitely some weird stuff being said there. You know what I mean? Do we need to check their credentials? I'm getting Brett Weinstein, one of the guys we're talking about. He's got a PhD.
Okay.
And they say listen to scientists, listen to doctors. I mean
that guy's cool. Only listen to the ones we want you to listen to. Not these
guys, though. Huh? Right. What about Robert Malone? The guy said mass formation hypnosis. You know what? He's got a PhD, too.
Physician and biochemist.
He's an MD. That's a serious amount of school.
Early work focused on mRNA technology, the specific technology in question.
Yeah, I mean these guys don't have
probably
no qualifications.
Probably knows some things, right?
And what about Dr. Peter McCullough? The third guy in here with all his confusing shit about myocarditis. Guess what? We got PhD too.
Also,
he's got all kinds of letters.
Bunch of letters after his name, dude.
I don't even know what half that shit is, man. Is he an expert on that field? I don't know. Probably not.
Looks like Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall.
But again, when we say listen to doctors, do we only mean the doctors we like? I don't know about that. Well, what else were they talking about? They were also talking about microchips. Being in the vaccine. I don't know about this one. Now, that was said by Alex Jones. Definitely not a doctor.
Right. I don't know. That looks like a very doctorly headdress.
Okay, he's not a doctor. He's an entertainer.
I'd let him operate on me. You know?
I'm kind of retarded. Right, exactly. But again, outside of that, what's the difference between opinion and misinformation? What's the difference between entertainment and news? You know, it's hard to say. But when people are out here going, a menace to public health. First of all, if you get your primary news notifications and shit from Joe Rogan, I think that only speaks to the level of trust we've lost in mainstream media. Right or left, CNN or Fox News don't make one goddamn bit of difference to me. They're just trying to carry you to the next commercial, and I don't believe a goddamn word that comes out of either one.
Amen, man. That's the most important point, I think, to this, is that you're taking facts from a place called the Joe Rogan Experience. I mean, come on.
Try DMT, dude.
Right, exactly. It's for entertainment purposes only, and it's not like he comes out and says, listen to me, this is gospel. If you're listening to it, that's on you, and that's nobody else's business, really.
Right.
Fuck anybody who says it otherwise.
So the real question then is, what's the difference between opinion and misinformation? Well, right here, there's a whole page of fucking definition about what opinion is. That can be a variety of things. But what I want to look at is the definition for misinformation.
I think that's important.
It says information that is incorrect. These terms are not mutually exclusive.
Right.
That's all I'm getting at here. Information that is incorrect can definitely fall under the scope of opinion. If I come out here and say the sky is green, am I giving you an opinion or am I spreading harmful misinformation?
I don't think
If I come out here and I say Phil's bowl is full of piss, am I giving you an opinion or am I spreading
harmful false misinformation? And I will give you a problem with both of those examples, is that those are not opinion based. That you're not saying I like that the sky is green.
It's a fact that you have piss in your bowl.
God damn it.
Yeah, okay, you're right about that. Now, okay, now what we've gotten to here is a series of people that pulled their stuff off Spotify, as is their right to do. That's your shit. You know, you put it where you want. That's your business. Whatever, man. But the fact that a lot of them came out here with an ultimatum, I hate ultimatums. First of all,
so whiny bitch.
It really is. First of all, people that issue ultimatums generally lose. Last time I got issued an ultimatum, I laughed. It was not good.
Right.
I don't take ultimatums well at all. I try not to give them to people, and I certainly don't appreciate it.
What are you going to do? Continue working with someone who gives you an ultimatum?
Right. What happens next, man? All right. So, ultimatums are one thing. It's shitty, but it's not illegal. It's not necessarily censorship. It's just a dick move, and honestly, you're going to lose. Congratulations on getting yourself in the news for one more day. It doesn't really become a constitutional issue until the government is involved. You know, a lot of people like to yell about free speech and blah, 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 and I certainly try to advocate for free speech as best I can. I understand the fire in a maternity ward. I get it. I get it.
Right.
But by and large, there should be much clearer lines on this stuff, if nothing else. Now, the thing is, right there in the First Amendment, it's only talking about the feds. It doesn't talk about civilians. It doesn't mean that if you come into my home, I don't reserve the right to kick your fucking ass out if you're talking shit. You know what I mean?
Right. Freedom of consequences extends to that point.
Correct. You're only free from consequences from the government.
Right.
And to be honest, people that think that's small, imagine you live in a place where you don't have that, like North Korea.
Right.
And look at how their information cycle works. We do not want that here. So it's certainly important to protect. So people that have been detractors of all this have said it's not really censorship. It's a private company. They can do what they want. I wish that people would apply that logic evenly because it applies to bakers just as well as it does to Spotify, as well as it does to everything, but just as well as it does not apply to the DMV. DMV got to serve you no matter who you are. As long as you're a fucking citizen, I don't give a fuck what you do.
Yep.
They're part of the government. They cannot censor. Okay? All right, so people say this isn't a censorship issue. It's just a choice, blah, blah, blah. All of these things. The government's not involved. Well, unfortunately, I got some bad news for you, friend. The White House urges Spotify to take further action on Joe Rogan. If your motherfucking eagle is not screaming right now, I don't know what else I can tell you. Here it is. White House on Spotify's Joe Rogan back. Keep your fucking nose out of this.
Yes.
I don't care. Right, left, conservative, none of that matters.
Yep.
This is a bipartisan issue. This is the government interfering where they are specifically forbidden to interfere.
Yup.
You want to talk about protecting your constitutional rights? This is them. This is them. The shit where people tell you whether you can or can't wear a mask in their establishment. Somewhere somebody tells you to shut up because they don't want to hear your bullshit. Well, that's not freedom of speech. People can be mad at you all day long. There ain't a fucking thing you can do about it. But this
violates the First Amendment to the highest accord. These is the what? Those are the main people.
Here it is. You can read it for yourselves, and if you haven't, I highly suggest you would. But when we get this far in it, and we look at how angry people are, so angry, in fact, that it turns out they had to involve the federal government, which generally is just not a good idea. No. You know what I mean? Point to me somewhere where that has worked out really well.
Got an hour?
You got a fucking hour to talk about the federal government? All right, now, all of that, people are so mad because he said something they don't agree with. And again, it's just an opinion. It's just a podcast. It's just some idiot and his dumbass friends, right?
Right. If you don't like it, turn it off.
Have to watch
Jesus.
It. Right? Like Joe Rogan, okay. I really haven't watched much of anything since it moved to Spotify. I watched it some when it was on YouTube. If it was a guest I liked, you know what I mean? Sure. There's a lot of comedians and scientists and things I'm interested in. So I've seen some. But it's just them out there talking tons of shit, and that's fine. Then as soon as he says something people disagree with, now it's protests, it's pulling music, it's trying to get the feds involved. But I wonder if something like that is really worth it. Up until this point, up until there was a virtue to signal, nobody was really saying shit about being on Spotify with, I don't know, convicted rapists. That was totally fine. R. Kelly was convicted. What happens to his music on streaming platforms? Well, I'll tell you, they pulled it off the platform curated lists.
Right.
So that they could virtue signal themselves. But you can still find it on there. And none of these people have had a problem sharing a platform up until this point. Is it because none of them believe the case? I suppose that's possible. How many musicians have been... Is Motley Crue on there? Vince Neil got convicted of manslaughter. Is that okay?
That's true.
You could go on and on with musicians that have been convicted of felonies.
Oh, yes. Snoop Dogg. Murder was the case that they gave him.
Murder was the case that they gave him, dude.
You're sharing a platform with a convicted murderer?
Well, they didn't convict him.
They didn't convict him, but that was the case that they gave
murderer. But what I'm saying is nobody has ever said a fucking word about any of that shit. Joe Rogan wasn't convicted of any crime. As far as I'm concerned, didn't commit a crime.
He didn't.
Yet it's this big. And I'll tell you, when people start to realize this is nothing, you already know what they do.
Yup.
Let's dig into everything that's ever happened before and find a way to
Yep.
make sure that we get what we want. Joe Rogan addresses his repeated use of the N-word in viral clip. Now, obviously, we're not going to play it. If you want to look at it, you're welcome to yourself. First of all, first things first, pretty much any prominent newscaster that's been around for a long time, you can find a supercut of that. It has nothing to do with racism. Even your like 60 Minutes types. Yeah. There are situations where you speak on the usage of or quote something important to the story, and the usage becomes necessary there. You know what I mean? None of these were the supercut takes it all out of context, man.
Sure.
Shit, man. I saw on Twitter today one with what's it called? With that fucking super left show. It's got a fat guy and a girl with a really sharp face that like you could carve roast beef on. What's her fucking name? God damn it, you know what I'm talking about. They thought they were hot shit for a while, but the fat guy really, I mean, he can't hardly breathe, I feel like, at this point. he's the Young Turks. That's right, okay, those guys.
All right.
What's the guy's name? Chunk
Yogurt.
Them, I don't know what the girl's name is. The point being, today on Twitter, I saw the exact same supercut of them with that same usage. I'm not talking about condoning usage. I'm not talking about changing rules. And again, I don't care about any of that. But you're taking things out of context, and you're creating something worse than what it is, even when Joe Rogan already apologized about it. And to be honest, this is probably his fatal flaw.
No, G.
Because it will not win.
No, I'm just saying no. You're supposed to come out of the womb knowing that you only replace it with N-word, and that's it.
That's fine.
Never say it ever.
I'm fine. Whatever. I don't care about that. I'm just saying that when you speak about usage or how to change this or something that was negative or you quote something bad or blah, blah, God damn it, there has to be some context there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that from what I saw, not that I've seen all those episodes, but all of his stuff looked like it was out of context in that same way. Didn't sound like he was just talking shit to somebody. Nor did I think that was the case with the Young Turks video I saw that day. But yeah, I do think that outside, and obviously there are racist people out there. I'm not condoning that. Certainly, y'all know me, man. But what I am saying is there a space to speak on an issue involving other people's usage? I don't know.
Nuance and context? I think so.
Well, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But again, my point is this. When pulling music wasn't enough, when fucking boycotting a platform wasn't enough, when calling in the feds wasn't enough, people went to try to dig through every scrap of everything that's ever in the past to create a story that really, once again, is nothing, man, is nothing. And he apologized. You know, people had no problem accepting Whoopi Goldberg's apology this week. Saw it on Twitter.
Yep.
Saw it on Twitter.
I mean, that's another thing that goes around, though. The old hypocrisy train is, you know.
I'll forgive these guys, but not these guys.
Yeah, no, you can't compare any atrocities of the modern day to anything that's happened in the past unless it aligns with what you agree with.
Right, unless it's somebody I don't like. If it's somebody I do like, they get all the leeway in the world. What I will say is this, man. I don't think she should have lost her spot any more than I think Joe Rogan should lose his spot. I don't give a fuck how you feel about any of the issues that they talk about, because I don't give a fuck about most of the issues that they talk about. What I do give a fuck about is this: government overreach, friends. So remember, when they try to blind you with the proper nouns that force you to be partisan in issues like this, the only thing that's actually important here is whether or not you've got an hour to talk about the federal government. And that's the Whale's Honest Truth, whether you're dead or alive. Is that right? I have an opinion about the urine content of your bowl. Suddenly, I'm spreading misinformation.
Absolutely.
And I need to be dealt with on a fucking...
It should be censored.
Oh, we should bring the government in on this?
Oh, yeah. Somebody's got to protect me
what the fucking First Amendment
from
says
your lies.
it's supposed to do.